Thank you. I'm really nervous, so bear with me. It was a long morning on my flight up. I guess I'll need that. Okay, so who here loves tech? Yeah? Who here loves regional Australia? Who here is from regional Australia? Yeah, okay, that's pretty cool. I like that. You'll see by my title I'm here to talk about the regional perspective, and although you may have grown up in regional Australia or have an inkling of what that is, I think there's a real big piece missing as we're developing agriculture and the AgTech ecosystem, and that is the regions themselves and the farmers themselves. So you did speak about the collision with government, with education, with technology, with industry, and I think we're missing one really important piece, and that's the community and the regions themselves and the farmers. So that's why I'm here. Our ecosystem must really engage the farmer in the regional areas to ensure it's not only relevant, but we do build a whole community out in our regions that understand where this is heading and understand how this is going to impact their business and the opportunities that are in front of them. I hate this term. I'm not just a farmer's wife. I loathe it. And I think there's a lot of females out on the land that don't think themselves worthy enough to be more, and they actually are. I think within our farmers' wives and our farmers' partners is an untapped resource and an untapped demographic of people that view farming very differently. Often this group of people are well educated, they're well travelled, and they come back to the land with a whole different outset of the world, and they bring that to farming. They're not as bound to tradition as their partners may be, so therefore they can look at problems in a really different way. So I'm not sure if any of you have heard of the Just Veg model or business at all? No? Some? Okay, so basically this was all around carrots, and people were producing carrots and they were disappointed because there was such wastage because they were too crooked or weren't the right colour or I don't know, something. So the farmers went to the farmers' wives and said, well, what do you think? And the farmers' wives put their heads together, and their heads included a lawyer, an accountant, a marketing specialist, a whole range of skill sets that looked at the problem in a completely different manner. And what they came up with was a business that now generates sales at $5,000 a tonne compared to $50 a tonne that the farmer was gaining. So I really encourage you to consider the farmers' wives and what they have to offer to this whole industry. Listen to me, I'm shaking. This is not me. I'm a girl that ran away from Wagga. I'm Wagga born and bred, and I joined the Navy, and I thought, you know, no chance of ever coming back to Wagga. You know, there's no ocean, so they can't possibly send me back there. And then I fell in love with a farmer that I went to preschool with, and yeah, well, here I am, a farmer's wife. So I think there's a lot of people like me that are returning to the land, that have passion, and can offer something back to the whole industry. The things that obviously I'm doing are passionate about the region, and my passion comes from my kids because I want to see a future in ag for them. So that's why AgriHack, Pitchfest, I've just launched an incubator in regional Australia as well. Can't believe I'm shaking so much. This is terrible. Okay, that's my son, by the way. He stars on. So how many of our next generation farmers look at their dads and go, Dad's driving a tractor. That's what I'm going to do when I grow up. Why aren't we engaging with these kids now, putting it front and centre for them to say, you know what, you won't be driving a tractor, you'll be controlling the program that's driving the tractor for you. So what are we doing at that primary school age kid for our next generation of farmers? There's some great programs out there. There's Code Club Australia doing some work, there's Kidtrepreneur, but none of these are reaching the regional areas. And my fear is that our next generation of farmers that are coming from the land won't be given the education and the contact that they need in tech. So a challenge for you as you're developing and you're supporting technology is that you cannot let go of the thought of our next generation of farmers. Because even though we envisage what the future of farming will look like, that they won't actually be on a tractor, well, how do they envisage the next generation beyond that? And that's what we need to tap into. And these kids are smart. Farm Simulator is the best game ever. Anyway, for those of you that have played it, I tend to play it a lot, unfortunately. Okay, building and creating Agritech is one thing, okay? Everyone here in the room probably knows of or has developed some form of technology. that's going to change and revolutionise the agricultural industry. And I say that's great, but what about the farmer? What about educating them in the use of it? What about educating the community in how this is going to change them? So I come back to the grassroots. Tradition runs very strong in agriculture, and for the mum and dad farmer to embrace this is going to require a lot of education. We need to ensure that they understand what this technology can do for them. We need to ensure that they understand and have an opportunity to contribute. And this is where the collision is key. And this is where events like this and future events where we have such a great group of people in the room that are really passionate and really driven include the regions, the community and the farmer. Because unless they're becoming a part of this, we're going to leave them behind. And we need to bring them with us so we can build an ecosystem in Australia that is strong from the grassroots all the way through. Funding. Yes, I'm a farmer's wife. We have a debt. It's huge. So building and creating, like I said, is one thing. But the traditional approach to taking risk is always bound to your overdraft, right? So traditionally farmers, they buy some more land, they take out another loan. The overdraft gets bigger. Their appetite for risk is low because they don't want to take the risk. They want to know what's proven. They'll do that. They'll be able to pay their bills. So how do we encourage our farmers to take more risks? I think that there needs to be a lot more work into venture capital funding, angel funding, angel investment for our farmers. And that's great, but our farmers don't traditionally understand what the hell that is. So we need to educate them. We need to have these options in front of them. So there's organisations, Cultivate Farms. I'm not sure if any of you have heard of that. It's my own business, Bush Angels. And these are all about raising capital for businesses and for farmers to increase their land holdings, but also to take on new technology and try it and to take a risk. Because if we haven't got a farming organisation or a farming culture that's willing to take risks, how are we going to implement this technology and make this the future of Australia? Okay. I love this quote. I don't know, does anyone here know Brendan? He's amazing. Yeah, he's great. He speaks a lot better than me. So tech has trumped the tyranny of distance and place no longer matters. I want to talk a little bit about the e-change. So has anyone heard of an e-change? No? Okay, that's interesting. All right, so the e-change, basically I look at this and say, why can't the Agritech ecosystem actually be planted and its roots be planted within regional Australia? And why shouldn't it? So we've got access to ag education, we've got great universities, we've got facilities, we've got future ag business parks being built by Charles Sturt University, we've got incubators, accelerators, and we've got an established ecosystem of entrepreneurs and startups. So for me, that's the Riverina. It's the emerging centre of ag innovation. More and more startups are coming out of the regions. The percentage of these startups is highly tipped towards women. So there's a lot more women that are moving back to regional areas, starting their own businesses, which I think is fantastic and a great opportunity for our regions. And a great opportunity for our regions to diversify their economic base as well, so it's not just purely ag. But also with that, I think that's where the opportunity lay for a lot of startups to actually start building that in regional Australia. So for me, I drive 20 minutes to work. I work in a co-working space. I'm surrounded by like-minded people that are design thinkers, that think outside the square. I have access to great networks. I've got NBN and I drive back to my farm and ride the motorbike with the kids while you sit in traffic. So who's got the better life? Sorry. So I think that this is also evident by the amount of startups that are coming out of our regional areas. So I don't know, has anyone heard of AgTribe at all? No? Okay, so AgTribe is a sharing economy basically around equipment, so sharing of farm equipment. And this came from a guy called Andy Stevens who lives in Mangappa, who's a farmer, who was frustrated because he needed equipment but he couldn't afford it, so he wanted to lease it. or take on that option of using the mate next door's equipment but paying him for it. He's now created this online platform where you can actually share your equipment. So it's an additional funding source for the farmer, but it also reduces the farmer's cost if they don't want to go out and actually make that capital purchase. So things like AgTech are coming out because farmers are seeing problems and they're creating solutions themselves. He lives in Mangapla. Who knows where Mangapla is? Yeah, a few people, but okay. So the general population doesn't, but he's running that business from regional Australia. If everyone, I think, would probably be hooked into Startup Daily. And Matt Beach has just launched Silicon Paddock. Has anyone heard of Silicon Paddock yet? Brace yourself. It's going to be epic. So I mean, Matt's already seen that there's so much opportunity in our regional spaces. And I think as we talk about AgTech, as we're building technology and we're building this ecosystem in Australia, and rightly said that we're in a great position, we need to consider how the regions fit into that and why can't we be doing business from the region. Okay. So I'm going to leave you with a few questions. Just to consider as you support and move forward with your own designs, developments and whatnot. And that is, what are you doing to bring the next generation of farmers forward? How can we better engage with the mum and dad farmers? How do we mobilise the farmer's spouse and that demographic? And when are you coming to Wagga? Thank you.